Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 8-game NBA main slate on Tuesday. A couple of things before I get into the video. If you're new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos talking about NBA, NFL, and XFL daily fantasy sports. I'm also running a weekly $20 PayPal giveaway on my channel. How it works, all you have to do is leave a like and a comment in the video. That's 1 inch in the giveaway. Max 1 comment per video. So it started with my Monday NBA video that I uploaded last night. We'll go throughout this week. We'll end my Monday NBA video at the end of the week. So however many videos I've uploaded for the week, you can end the giveaway that many times. If I have 10 videos uploaded for the week, you can end the giveaway 10 times. And again, the winner receives a $20 PayPal from myself. With that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So first, let's look back at my lineup here from Monday. So you could say I'm pretty tilted, to say the least. Let's just go over my lineup first. So John Morant, Jeff Teague, Rudy Gay, Larry Nance, Vucevic, Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Jonas Valanciunas. And the reason I am very, very tilted is because that Memphis-Atlanta game. It was a, 1.5, 2-point spread, 240 over-under, all the makings for a shootout, and Atlanta decides to just completely lay an egg. So John Morant, Jonas Valanciunas both don't see any fourth quarter run. How many minutes did they get? Let's see. Where is Memphis? Jonas Valanciunas played 25. John Morant played 24. So the last few games when the games have been close, Jonas Valanciunas is getting about 32 minutes a game. John Morant about 35. So, you figure, John Morant got 24. Well, let's just say we give him 34, an extra 10 minutes. Probably gets at least 40 fancy points or so, around that. Jonas Valanciunas probably missed out in about, 7-8 minutes. You think you feel like you give him that, he probably gets close to 50. So, yeah, I'm super, super tilted about that. Because I take blowouts into consideration big time, probably more than others do that make content for DFS, just because at least for like a cash game setting, right? If there's a decent chance the game blows out, I'm just going to avoid players in that game and target players in the games that I feel more confident staying close. And again, that's a 2-point spread. Can't predict a blowout like that. So that's why I'm super, super pissed. Jeff Teague is my value play. It was either him or Denzel Valentine or Shaq Harris. I considered it. I felt like I would just go Teague there and, risk it a little bit. He was okay. 18 fantasy points, I believe 3.3K. Rudy Gay, yep, I got popped, I guess. Well, I was willing to take the risk. He only played 23 minutes tonight. He played well, but Pop didn't bring him back in the fourth quarter. Can't say I'm super surprised, right? That's Popovich for you. Another, yeah, sure, I'm slightly tilted about that, but way, way more tilted about the Memphis starters not playing in the fourth quarter. Larry Nance, Vucevic, Jonas Valanciunas, all part of the core, all were really solid. Again, if JV gets his fourth quarter run, he's going to absolutely crush it. Doncic was a little bit disappointing. I'm completely fine with that. I would, if I could go back in time, I would play him 100 times at 100 in that situation with no Kristaps Porzingis at 10.3K. Yeah, he was the safest bet up of the day for sure. So don't think I made a mistake there. It's just he had one of those off nights for him. And then Maxi Kleber, really liked him. Talked about him as a value play. So yeah, gonna just miss out on the catch for tournaments because of the Memphis blowout. But that's the way DFS goes sometimes. It can be a very, very tilting game for sure. But hope you guys had a good night. Hope you guys got into the cash. Again, the core is pretty solid. JV, Vucevic, Nance. Doncic was a little bit disappointing, but all in all, hopefully you guys are snuck into the cash. All right, let's talk about this slate for Tuesday, and hopefully we don't get any random blowouts in games that should stay close, right? So we got 8-game slate. Let's see, we have five games are out right now for Vegas totals. We have the Clippers and the Thunder sitting at 226 over under. The Clippers are 3-point favorites. We have the Timberwolves and the Pelicans 247.5. What is this, like the All-Star game? 247.5 over under, 11.5 point spread. So yeah, that game is obviously super, super appealing. Now there is a little bit of blowout risk, I know that, but man, that game has enormous upside. Golden State, Denver, another game that has big blowout risk. Golden State's been terrible. 216.5, a 15-point spread. Denver's favored by. Another game that has some blowout risk here, 76ers-Lakers, 220 over under. The Lakers are 11.5-point favorites. And then we have the Wizards and the Kings sitting at 232.5. The Kings are 5.5-point favorites. So let's jump into it. We'll start with center as always. So at the top, we have both Embiid and Towns still out. And we have Anthony Davis status up in the air. He is currently listed as questionable with that knee injury. He missed the last game against the Pelicans with that knee injury. So got to keep an eye on this, right? If Anthony Davis plays, I think he's a pretty solid player in our 10K. If he misses, then I look to LeBron. That makes JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard a lot more viable because they'll probably split the whole center minutes, the whole 48 minutes, McGee and Dwight. So this is pretty big news, right? It does change the entire slate. So obviously have to keep an eye on AD's status. If he misses, makes LeBron a really good spend up, makes Dwight, JaVale McGee, Kyle Kuzma all more viable as cheap options. Nikola Jokic is a really good spot, but I just have no confidence that Golden State keeps it close. On the road at Denver, Golden State is super shorthanded. Draymond Green possibly out too. It's just strictly a GPP player. I cannot recommend Jokic in cash because I have no confidence this game stays close. I have no confidence he plays his full quarters run. Oh, sure, GPPs, anything can happen, but in a cash game setting, that's just a situation I'm going to avoid. DeAndre Ayton at 8.4. I actually do think this is a pretty decent spot for him, especially if Ibaka can't go. If Ibaka can't go, we still have Marc Gasol out. He's going to be matched up against Rondae Hollis-Jefferson and Chris Boucher. Ayton should be able to have his way, and I don't think he's going to be that high owned on this slate. So I do have some mention in Ayton, especially if Ibaka can't go. Let's talk about the Minnesota-New Orleans game, right? This is a game that I want some exposure to. I know there's some blowout risk, but it's a 247.5 over-under, two of the fastest-paced teams in the league, two teams that play no defense. Hopefully this is not a situation with Atlanta-Memphis last night where, again, that game was super, super appealing, but Atlanta did not hold up their end of the bargain. Zion, at this price, I think is a safe option. He really hasn't flashed like the enormous upside, right? He did have a 50 fantasy point game once. We haven't seen like a huge game from him. Now, he's under 8K, and he probably gets 30, 35-ish minutes in a close one. Obviously, a really good matchup. So I do have a decent amount of interest here in Zion at that price. Aldridge is expected to miss the game tomorrow, or for Tuesday. So that makes those other Spurs guys more viable. Guys like Trey Lyles, Eubanks. Obviously, a boost to DEMAR DEROZAN. It's just the playing Charlotte. I hate seeing Charlotte on the slate. I really do, because Charlotte just plays at such a slow pace. Like even that game against Milwaukee plays at the fastest pace in the league, and that game finished, what was it, on Sunday? 93-85. That's like Charlotte just takes the wind out of the teams that play at such a slow pace. So I just hate seeing them on the schedule. I'm not going to lie. I really do. But there is some injury news for Charlotte. We have Devontae Graham probably going to be out. So we'll get to that in a bit. But, okay, let's talk about Horford now at 7K. We have no Joel Embiid, no Ben Simmons, no Josh Richardson. So Philly is super, super shorthanded. It's been the Shake Milton show recently. Can't deny what he's been doing. But, Horford, Tobias Harris. Tobias is probably going to get 35-plus minutes. Horford's probably going to get at least 30 minutes. They're going to have to do a lot more offensively here. Horford fouled out last game, only played 29, so I wouldn't be super, super concerned about this minutes. I think he probably gets closer to 35 if this game stays close. Now, sure, the matchup's not great, but Philly is super shorthanded. If you think this game stays close, Horford, Tobias Harris, Shake Milton are probably going to have a hand in that game staying close. Montrez is 6.2. Clippers are another team I don't like seeing on the slate just because it's so hard to target anyone. They're such a deep team. They blow out teams left and right. Sure, he's been good the last couple games. You can't deny that, but I still don't think I get to him at that price. Steven Adams is 6.2. That game against Milwaukee was a huge blowout, so I wouldn't be super, super concerned about that. He's been pretty safe, pretty solid. He's 6.2K. I think he's a good cash game option. Ibaka, we got to keep an eye on his status. He is currently listed as questionable. If Ibaka is available to play and it's not going to be limited, I like him a good amount here at this price. If he misses, then that makes RHJ a more viable play. But we have seen Toronto run a little bit more small ball with Pascal Siakam at the 5. They've really been limited Boucher. Boucher's basically out of play for me, even if Ibaka misses. But RHJ has not been playing the huge minutes, right? They've been running a little bit of Siakam at the 5. And OG Anunoby, who we'll talk about in a bit. That guy is so up and down. Another guy I hate seeing on the slate. I don't even want to consider him, but yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. Chris at 5.8. I mean, if you want to target Jokic, if you want to, if you think this game stays close, I don't mind running it back with Chris. It's just, again, I voiced my concerns in that game. I have very, very little confidence this stays close. Giles at that price, don't know if I get there. Daniel Tice at 5.5K. He's played 39 minutes. Now, the game did go to overtime, but he was on pace for, 34, which is good to see. 5.5K, though, he seems priced about right. You guys know my analysis by now with DeAndre Jordan and Jared Allen. They're fine for GPPs. They're going to ride the hot hand. If Jared Allen's playing better, they'll give more minutes to Allen. If DeAndre Jordan's playing better, they'll give the minutes to him. Really can't go to either of them in any cash game format, but they're always viable for GPPs. Rui at 5.3. It just seems priced about right. No one really excites me on Washington. They're playing a pretty deep rotation besides Brad Beal, who we'll get to. Now, Trey Lyles at 5.2K. How many minutes did he play tonight? He played a decent amount of minutes. Let me confirm that. He played 36 minutes, right? So if we're gonna get 36 minutes out of Trey Lyles, he played 40 the night before. You have to have interest in him at 5.2K. I know the matchup's not great, right? Charlotte just play at such a slow pace, but if Lyles is going to play that many minutes and he's going to play the center a lot, you have to have interest in him at that price. Favors at 5.2, I'm completely fine going to him. He probably gets about 25 or so minutes. He's been, pretty decent, so I think he's a solid mid-tier play. Naz Reid on the other side of the ball, don't mind him either. My concern with him is he is a guy that is in foul trouble a lot, but we probably get around 25 or so minutes from him. I think he's a viable play. Two mid-tier plays with Naz Reid and Favors that you could get in a very high over-under game. PJ Washington at 5.1 seems priced about right. Not overly excited about that. We'll get to the value Hornets in a bit. I'm thinking it's to be the Martin twins. So that last game, we have Malik Monk suspended. We have Devontae Graham probably out. The last game, they basically ran an 8-man rotation, and both Martin bros played 24 and 29 minutes off the bench. So I assume those two are going to get decent minutes. I mean, Bridges and Washington will play over 30 no matter what. Rozier will play over 30 no matter what. But yeah, we'll get to the Martin twins. I think those guys are actually viable punt options on the slate. James Johnson at 4.8. I think him, Hernan Gomez, and Naz Reid are all kind of in the same boat. They're all priced about the same. I think at least one of those guys will have a pretty solid game. I don't think one really stands out over the other, but picking one of those three to get in your lineup, I don't think is a bad idea at all. Let's see. RHJ, again, I think he's solid, but he hasn't been playing the huge minutes at the center. They've been comfortable giving some center run to Pascal Siakam, which is worrisome for RHJ, even if Ibaka misses. If Ibaka does miss, I think RHJ is fine. Not like an amazing play, just because, again, they've kind of been limiting his minutes. Let's see. Paul Millsap, this is pretty significant. He is questionable. If he can't go, make Jeremy Grant a much more viable play. Dwight Howard, McGee, again, those guys would probably split the center minutes if Anthony Davis can't go. Would have interest in both those guys. Biyombo is actually making some decent run. 27, 32, and 22 minutes the last 3 games. He's been starting at center. He's been pretty productive. If he's going to start at center again, I think we probably get mid-20s minutes from him. Again, San Antonio is missing both Aldridge and Pirtles. Would be matched up a good amount against Trey Lyles. He should be able to bully his way against Trey Lyles there in the post. So I think Bismack Biyombo, if he starts at center, is a pretty solid option. I also have some interest in Alex Len. The minutes have been a little bit up and down off the bench, but he's a productive guy. When he gets minutes, he's a good point per minute guy. 21, 16, and 28 those last 3 games. Now the rotations for Sacramento are a little bit inconsistent, but it's a really good match against Washington. So I don't mind taking a shot at Alex Len here for GPPs. Let's see. Hernan Gomez is beginning the backup center run. We probably get 15 to 20 minutes out of him. I think he's a viable GPP dart throw. Thomas Bryant started at center, but still only played 15 minutes last game. I figured that if he started at center, he could probably get at least 20, but they feel comfortable not giving him a lot of minutes right now. Now, McGee, again, this is kind of dependent on Anthony Davis news. If Anthony Davis can't go, McGee, Dwight are going to split the center minutes. I would have interest in both those guys as cheap options. Bender, the punt plays for Golden State, like Bender, Toscano, Anderson, those guys are only guys I would consider if Draymond can't go. I think that does it for center. Let's move on to power forward. So Boston is a team that there's a lot of guys' status up in the air. We have Tatum questionable, we have Marcus Smart questionable, and we have Kemba Walker questionable. So this is kind of one that you just throw up your hands in the air. We have to wait for news. Like, if all three of those guys miss, then obviously you play Jaylen Brown, obviously you play Gordon Hayward, and you probably take a shot in one or two of those cheap options. If like two of the three guys miss, then you have interest in the other three guys, right? So we just have to wait and see what happens here with the status of these Boston guys. Siakam, again, they've been giving him huge minutes. They've been giving him run at the 5, which is good to see. Now, 8.7K, you're not getting him at a discount, but it's a pretty good matchup against Phoenix. He's not shot the ball well. He's playing 9 of 23, 6 of 21. You got to figure if he shoots the ball a little bit better this game and he plays about 40 or so minutes in a good spot, you could see upset from Siakam here. Tobias Harris, again, him, Al Horford, Shake Milton, they're going to have to do it all offensive here. I know the matchup's not great against the Lakers, but all three of those guys have some upside, and they're going to play big minutes. So I have interest in these Philadelphia guys. It's all about, do you think this game stays close? I think you could go either way, right? So 11.5 point spread, you could bank on the fact that this game blows out and kind of just avoid it, maybe target the value play, or go a little bit more heavy and just hope this game stays close. Because if it does, Shake Milton, Tobias, Al Horford, we're probably going to see at least a big game from one or two of those guys. Ingram at 7.8K. Again, I like this game a lot. Had a disappointing game there against the Lakers, but this is a bounce back spot here against the Timberwolves. Again, a 247.5 over under. This is a game you're going to want some exposure to for sure. Gordon Hayward, kind of dependent on the status of all those other guys, right? If all those other guys are out, then I would like Gordon Hayward a lot. If like one or two of those guys are out, it would still make Gordon Hayward more viable. So we just have to wait for news on those Boston guys. OG Anunoby, this is one where I'm just like, what is getting into him? Back to back, he had 44 and 60 fantasy points. Now, don't get me wrong. He had a great game there against Denver. He is not going to shoot the ball 12 of 16 and have 7 steals. He's had 6 and 7 steals in back-to-back games. Those are outlier games. Do not expect that again. It's just, I don't know what to do here. I don't. He's so up and down. He can have monster games, and he can completely lay an egg. So this is one, I don't know. It's such a good matchup. I'm honestly probably going to still fade, but I'm worried about it just because he's played so well the last couple games. But this is not OG Anunoby, right? He's not going to average 50 fantasy points a night. We know he's about like a 25 fantasy point a night type guy, but he's playing really well. You can't deny it. It's a good matchup. So honestly, I'm probably still going to avoid it, but I am a little bit nervous. Elites at 6K. Just these secondary pieces for Sacramento, you can't really trust their rotations right now. Like Bielitsa, Bogdan, Buddy Hield, Bazemore. Everyone's minutes are kind of up and down. It's really hard to trust. Now, it's a really good matchup, and I could see at least a couple of those guys having good games, but trying to pinpoint which one's going to be is a little bit tough because Luke Walton's rotations are very inconsistent right now. Gallinari is always a safe option. It's a revenge game. Not really the best matchup, but we probably get over 30 minutes from him in a close game. Again, revenge spots. I think he's a solid cash game option. Bridges at 5.5. He's going to have to do more offensively with most likely Devontae Graham out. I'm okay with him. But again, we'll talk about the Martin twins here in a bit. I think those guys are viable punt options. Hernan Gomez, again, he's kind of in that same tier of Naz Reid, James Johnson, all priced about the same, all in a good matchup. I think getting exposure to one of those guys is not a bad idea at all. Let's see. Again, the Washington guys, they're running such a deep rotation. Bertans probably would be the guy I would take a shot on if I was going to take a shot on one of the secondary plays, just because, like you said, we've seen he does have upside games when he's knocking down those threes. Pascal, only would look to him if Draymond misses. Let's see, Kuzma, strictly dependent on Anthony Davis news. If AD misses, I would have some interest in Kuzma there. Jeremy Grant, this is dependent on Paul Millsap news. If Paul Millsap can't go, I think Jeremy Grant's a pretty solid play at this price. Rudy Gay played 30 and then only 23 minutes tonight. 4.7 feels like a little bit too much to pay for him. Again, like Toscano, Anderson, Wright, Dragan, Bender. These are value guys I would look to if Draymond can't go. But, yeah, like I said, we got to keep an eye on Draymond's status. All right, I think that does it for power forward. Let's move on to small forward. LeBron, 11.4K. Again, this is dependent on Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis plays, I don't know if I want to get to LeBron at this price. If AD misses, I think LeBron sees that as a really solid spend up. Brad Beal has been playing out of his mind. Huge minutes, 41, 39, 40, and 35 minutes. Shooting the ball a ton, 33, 24, 33, and 24. He's basically averaging about 30 shot attempts a game, which is just insane. He's getting the peripheral stats. It's a good matchup. You have to have interest in Brad Beal at this price. Just, again, the shot attempts, the minutes, the matchup's pretty solid. Kawhi Leonard, 9.2. Again, I just don't like seeing the Clippers on the slate, on any slate, them and the Hornets. The Clippers, because they blow out so many teams and they're such a deep team. Kawhi at 9.2. I could see having some upside here, but not like overly excited about it. Wiggins at 7.6. And, you know, if you think this game, if you're going to target Jokic, I don't think it's the worst idea running back the Wiggins, because he is a guy that does have upside. He's going to shoot the ball a good amount when he's out there. But, again, I just have no confidence that game stays close. Now, Paul George does intrigue me here at 7.1K. It's a revenge spot here against OKC. The minutes that they've kind of been easing him back into it, 21, 28, 25, and 30. I think in a close game, we probably get at least 30 minutes from him in this one. 7.1K feels pretty cheap for Paul George. So I think he's probably my favorite play right now on the Clippers. Again, Draymond Green, if he misses, then we can consider those, you know, cheap options like Dragan Bender, like Toscana, Anderson. Norman Powell is a guy I like a good amount. Now, this is kind of dependent on Fred VanVleet news, right? If Fred VanVleet is available to play, that takes a hit to Norman Powell. But if Fred VanVleet is out once again, Powell's probably going to start and play big minutes. It's a good matchup. So I think he's a pretty good play here. Again, kind of dependent, though, on Fred VanVleet. And so these Sacramento guys, right? Hield, Barnes, Bogdanovich, their minutes are a little bit up and down. You know, Hield one night can play 30-plus minutes. One night he can play 20, you know, only like 25 or so. Barnes minutes are up and down. It's just, I don't know. I'm fine if you want to go with one of those guys, but I don't think one really stands out more than the other. Bazemore, again, kind of the same thing, right? 31, 18, 29, 31. So a little bit up and down with the minutes. Michael Porter Jr., just, you know, Mike Malone just does not want to give this guy minutes. I don't know why. I really don't. Now we get to the Martin twins. Cody Martin is 4.1K. Not a guy that has huge upside, but I think there's a decent chance he starts if Devontae Graham's ruled out. So if that's the case, I think he would be a pretty solid cheap option here. Furkan Korkmaz at 4K. He'll probably get some decent run. You know, my concern with him is he is very scoring dependent, so he does have a low floor. But his ceiling is pretty high if he's knocking down those shots. So, like, him, Alec Burks, they're going to have to play more with no Josh Richardson. Let's see. I think that really does it, though, for small forward. Let's move on to shooting guard. Already talked about Beal. Booker at 8.3. I think it's fine. I would rather get to Ayton, though. I think I like the matchup a little bit more for Ayton, especially if Ibaka can't go. Drew Holiday at 7.9K. I mean, all those Pelicans guys like him, Lonzo, Brandon Ingram, and Zion are all priced about the same. It's a really, really good spot. So I don't know if like one of those four guys really stands out more than the other, but getting exposure to at least one, maybe two of those top four Pelicans guys, I think is a pretty good idea in almost a 250 over under. Let's see. Dinwiddie at 7.5. Him and LeVert are going to be the main catalysts in the offense. They've been going a little bit back and forth, right? Dinwiddie has a good game. LeVert has a bad game. LeVert has a good game. Dinwiddie has a bad game. So it's kind of like you probably don't want to play them both in the same lineup. But, you know, if you're making multiple lineups, getting, you know, exposure to one of those guys is not a bad idea, because we've seen big games. You know, LeVert has had the big games. Let's see. So Dinwiddie, the last couple games, he's had big games. The 2 games before that, LeVert had the big game. So, again, they're kind of going back and forth with who kind of takes over there. DeMar DeRozan, 7.4K, kind of had an off night tonight. I don't know what he finished with exactly, but wasn't great. Again, my concern is I just hate seeing Charlotte on this slate because they play at such a slow pace. But, you know, DeRozan's going to have to do a lot offensively with no Aldridge, no Jakob Poeltl. He is going to be their main guy. So I think he is a pretty solid play there at that price. Again, everyone for Boston seems like they're questionable. Marcus Smart, Kemba Walker, Jason Tatum. We just have to keep an eye on the news, right? So can't really break it down yet there for Boston guys. LeVert, again, kind of just talked about it, right? He had the big games the previous 2 games, or you know what I'm saying. Dinwiddie had the good games the last 2 games. Then LeVert had the big games the previous 2. Yeah, like I said, I think getting exposure to one of those guys is not a bad idea at all. Brown, again, Boston, it's kind of up in the air right now. Jamal Murray at 6.7, it's a good price, but again, I just have very little confidence this game stays close. Fred VanVleet, if he plays, I think he's a solid option. If he misses, would make Norman Powell a lot more viable. Terry Rozier at 6.1, I think does stand out. I know he hasn't really been great, but with no Devontae Graham, he's going to have to do a lot offensively. I think he's a pretty solid play here for Charlotte at this price. Beasley at 6K kind of had an off game last game. Not super worried about it. He's probably going to play 30 to 35 minutes against a really good matchup. He's going to shoot the ball a decent amount. He's kind of at number 2 in the offense right now. So I do have some interest in Beasley. Again, you can run a nice little game stack of that game. Lou Williams has shot the ball amazingly the last couple of games, 6 of 12, 8 of 12. Back-to-back big games. But again, my concern here is just they're such a deep team. I'm fine if you get to Lou, but I'm not overly excited about it. Let's see. Other options here. Yeah, no Josh Richardson, no Ben Simmons, no Embiid. Philly is pretty short-handed. Let's see. Alec Burks, I think him. Well, I think Shake Milton, Horford, and Tobias will play the big minutes if the game stays close. But other guys, I think it's going to be Burks and Korkmaz are probably going to get the biggest boost with no Josh Richardson. So Alec Burks is a guy I do have some interest in at 4.4. I think we probably get 25, 30 minutes from him. I think there's a decent chance he could start. So, yeah, I do have some interest in Burks there. Again, I already talked about liking Cody Martin if he starts as a value option. Wanamaker could be in play if, one or even both of Kemba and Marcus Smart can't go. Unfortunately, you're right. It seems anytime this guy is chalky, completely busts. But, yeah, like I said, the Boston guys, we got to keep an eye on their status. I think that does it, though. Thibault probably gets a little bit extra run, but I don't know if I want to go with him. Batum, maybe they dust him off just because, they're going to be pretty short-handed. But also Caleb Martin. He's at the flat min price. Not a very high usage guy. But, again, they basically ran an 8-man rotation when Devontae Graham played against Milwaukee. If Devontae Graham misses, which Devontae Graham's doubtful right now, Charlotte's going to be pretty short-handed. So those Martin twins, I think they get good run. Dwayne Bacon, I think there's a chance he could get dusted off here. He hasn't played since the 12th, but yeah, like I said, I think he's on the team, right? Well, let's see. On the SportsCenter app, maybe he's in the G League. I'm not exactly 100% sure if he's going to be available to play, but that could be a guy, that could be in the rotation if he is. All right, let's see. I think that really does it for shooting guard. Let's talk about point guard here, and then I can get out of here. D'Angelo Russell, I like a good amount at 9K. I know the price, he seems a little bit pricey, but man, in this type of spot, if Minnesota's going to stay in this, we're probably going to see a big game from D'Angelo Russell. So I like him a good amount. I like running it back with, one or two of those guys on the Pelicans side. There's also, again, some cheaper options on Minnesota that are viable. Guys like Malik Beasley, Hernan Gomez, James Johnson, Naz Reid. Let's see. Steph Curry, he's already ruled out. Let's see. Was expected to return Sunday against the Wizards. Has his return pushed back to some point in March. Okay, so he looks like he's still going to be out. I thought there might be a chance he could come back for this one. De'Aaron Fox, they have listed as probable. I fully expect him to go. He'd probably get 32, 33 minutes like we've seen in the last 4 games. It's a really good matchup, but 8K, he just seems priced about right. I feel like I should like more on the Sacramento side, but just no one really stands out as like an amazing play. The OKC guys against the Clippers, it's a revenge buy here for Chris Paul. I could see going to him at 7.5K if you're big into revenge game narratives. Kemba, again, him, Marcus Smart, Tatum, all up in the air. They expect him to play, but if he does, he could be on a minutes limit. So don't even think I would get to Kemba if he plays. But if he misses, again, that would make those other guys a lot more viable. Lonzo Ball at 7.3. Again, him, Ingram, Drew, Zion. I think getting at least one, maybe two of those guys in your lineup is not a bad idea at all. Rubio at 7.2. You have to take into consideration what he's doing. Besides the last game against Golden State, which was a bust, 47, 62, 45, and 48 fantasy points. So yeah, I'm okay with him. Not overly excited about it though. Shake Milton. man, that last game, he had, what, 39 real-life points. He has been on fire. 35, 36, and 54 fantasy points the last 3 games. Philly is, struggling offensively. They have a lot of guys out again. Ben Simmons, Embiid, Josh Richardson. So I think even at this price point, Shake Milton is viable. Yeah, he's been playing some great basketball. Again, Devontae Graham, he is expected to sit out. So Malik Monk, again, he is suspended indefinitely. Charlotte could be pretty short-handed here. That's why I have some interest in those Martin twins. DeJounte Murray is fine at 5.7K. He's always more of the GPP play, though. A Pat Beverly at 3.7 is fine, right? Hasn't been great the last couple games, but if he gets like 25 or so minutes, I could see taking a shot on him as a punt option. Joe Cheeley, like, is he even going to be available? Did play 16 minutes there on the 25th. I don't know, up and down from the G League. Who knows, right? Again, Charlotte could be pretty short-handed. All right, I think that really does it for the breakdown of the 8-game slate. So yeah, I will be live streaming for this one, probably 45 minutes before lock, so be sure to check out the live stream, guys. I will go over all the injury news that we get throughout the day. I will kind of give you guys a game-by-game breakdown. I will give you guys my core cash game plays, and then I can answer any questions you guys have at the end. So yeah, thanks again for everyone to come and check the video. I really do appreciate it. I will see you guys all tomorrow in the live stream.